is Cynthia Watke. I am coming to you from my coaching office, and I want to share with each one of you today a little bit about another wisdom character strength, which is the love of learning. When we love to learn something and we work to learn it well, that learning expands our being. It changes us. It helps us to grow. Many times when we think about learning, we think about school. And I don't know about you, but you may have grown up in a situation where you didn't really like going to school. I loved going to school. It was a way to get out of the house, it was a way to meet new people, and I always enjoyed learning to how to work with the teachers that I had. I was probably a nerd. I was one of those students that liked to help the teacher and liked to help other people, and I learned quickly. But that is not the case for many. Many of us have had an experience in our learning that as we grew up, we didn't like to learn. We didn't learn to love to learn. We struggled to learn new things. Some of us struggled to learn to read. Some of us struggled with math, as I did. Some of us struggled with other subjects as they came along. I have two grandsons who live with me part time, and the 13-year-old at times complains about his schoolwork, especially his algebra. But as he has applied himself this school year, I see that he actually is making great progress in learning algebra. The concepts of algebra and that level of thinking are beginning to make some sense to him, and he's doing better and better as the weeks go by. Sometimes when we think about learning something, we think, well, I really don't have time right now. I don't have time to figure this out. I don't have time to work on it. So maybe I'll do it in the future. Or we may say, wow, I like to learn new things. So let me find out how I can learn about this. Other people say, well, I like to learn new things, but only if I'm sure that I can do this task correctly. Only if am sure that I can actually put the time necessary to master this task, to master this type of learning. Some of us feel that learning is not a very positive experience. It feels like hard work. It feels like maybe we don't have enough energy to keep at it. We don't have enough energy to do the work to attain that level of learning. So we just back off and we say, well, I know enough about that subject now. Years ago, when I was a missionary in South America, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to learn Spanish very well. And I had a goal to learn it so well that maybe I would arrive to a day when other people wouldn't realize that I was an American. And that was kind of a fantasy for me. I believe I gained at some point that level to some extent. But what I also found were that there were other Americans there that I met who had studied Spanish in a language school, had studied with a tutor for a while, and they got to just a certain level of learning and they quit. They quit trying to learn more. They quit trying to understand people better. They just were content. They got to a mediocre level of understanding, and that's all they wanted to do. And it really limited their ability to help people, to communicate with people, and to understand them. For me, learning is a positive experience. The character trait people, the positive psychology people who have studied all of the character traits, equate love of learning with other wisdom traits, the traits of curiosity, creativity, perseverance, wisdom from the standpoint of being open to being honest and authentic, a wisdom trait of judgment, of having good judgment. Those wisdom traits go along with love of learning. Now, I believe that we are born with the tendencies and the abilities to learn many different character strengths. And love of learning is a very important one. Some people growing up and going through school, middle school, elementary school, middle school, high school, perhaps college, um, were only motivated to learn if they were able to have some sort of success and affirmation, some sort of prize, some sort of belief that they were going to get a good grade. And they only learned the material long enough to get the good grade. So the material, whatever they were studying, was they concentrated very hard for a test and then went on. And whatever they learned didn't really inform their lives. I believe, though, today, as adults and as women who are perhaps involved with many aspects of life, from caring for family, rearing children, working in our careers, and some of us involved with family caregiving, there is a very strong necessity, a strong need for us to develop this superpower. And love of learning is a superpower. If you have the love of learning, you're able to go through some rough waters and figure out how to do it. You're willing to ask for help. You're willing to talk with other people, social workers, look online, look up YouTube videos on the particular subject, and figure out how to do something, how to deal with a situation in a way that's positive and that strengthens you and empowers you. So, a love of learning truly is a superpower. People who develop a love of learning tend to face challenges in positive ways and draw from a deep well of strength to be able to continue day by day with those challenges. But there are several conditions that do affect people's ability to connect with content. We all learn in different ways. The internet is full of people who are creating content. Content means information that is created in a way that others can absorb it, that others can consume it, as they say. I am trying to create content right now for you. I am sharing from my heart things that are meaningful to me that I believe can be meaningful and helpful to you. I want you to have a positive feeling about specific content areas, specific things that here at Tribe Curious we will circle back to again and again. Character strengths, values, choices, self awareness, self compassion, compassion for others, hope, balance, wisdom, many different subjects that all fall under the 5 pillars of Curious. Another aspect of love of learning is that we often want to learn things in a specific content area because they're relative to other involvements, other things that we have going on in our lives. And I'm curious about that. For any of you who are watching this today or in the future, I would love some feedback. What are the areas of your life that you find that specific things we're talking about here in Tribe Curious are related to? For example, day before yesterday, I went over to check on my mother at the nursing home. There was a new CNA working with her that afternoon. And this new woman came in to do her job of helping my mother up out of bed, into her wheelchair, to the bathroom to get ready to go to the evening meal. But what I saw there was that this young woman had been trained only in one specific way to do something, and she was very closed to even any information to work with my mother in a different way. She responded very aggressively, angrily towards me when I made any suggestions. And she had no openness to have any learning from me, to the extent that she said, "Well, I don't have to listen to family members. This is the way I was taught to do it, and this is the way I'm going to do it." And she hurt my mother. My mother has a neurological condition that creates a problem for her to be able to actually move her feet and to pivot and turn from the bed to stand, pivot, and turn and get into her wheelchair. It is an ongoing problem she will always have as long as she lives. But this woman did not know anything about that neurological condition, nor was she willing to hear and to listen to something new. We all get like that sometimes, don't we? We know what we know, and we're used to what we know, and we like what we know, and we like to do it the way we do it, so we really are not open to someone else telling us, hey, there might be another way to do this. Our learning, our love of learning necessitates an openness of our hearts. It necessitates an openness within our spirits to say, maybe there's another way to look at this. Maybe there's another way to reframe in my mind this situation. Maybe there's something that I can learn to apply to my life. We also must have a belief that it's doable to learn something. Now, my husband is an industrial electrician, and I don't believe it's doable for me to learn anything about his work except to listen to what he talks about. At this point in my life, am not going to go out and learn to be an electrician. It's fascinating to me, but it's not doable for me to learn about it. It really isn't. Another condition that affects our ability to learn is the idea about whether we even have any curiosity to learn. If we have curiosity within our spirits to figure something out and this fascinates us, then maybe we will learn about that particular subject because that curiosity drives us to ask questions, to search, to do research. And then the next step is that we must have the ability to identify and then make use of the resources that we find to help us learn something. When my children were growing up, and I homeschooled them for a number of years while we were in South America and while we were back here in the United States, this was the early years of the homeschool movement, and it wasn't easy to get curriculum, and it wasn't easy to find things that really worked to teach them in English. But through it all, my biggest desire was to teach them to love to learn. Because if they love to learn, then they wouldn't stop with the curriculum that I had. They wouldn't stop just doing the minimum to get by. They wouldn't stop to just learn enough to get a good grade, but they would love to learn outside of the curriculum that we had. And I'm proud to say that that love of learning, to one extent or another, did get instilled in my children. And one example of that was that even today, they, with their children, are still learning new things. They're teaching their children new things outside of their schoolwork. My children themselves, in their late 30s and early 40s, are still learning, just as I'm still learning. A love of learning can be learned. We can make the choice to learn new things, not only so that we can adapt and do things better in our lives, but also so that we grow more as a person, that we're able to deal with the struggles of life that come to all of us, the commonality of life, of the things that everyone has to deal with. We can learn how to deal with those things. Learning and love of learning is universal, but it doesn't take the same shape in every culture, nor does it take the same shape in every person. I have predominantly been a visual learner, but I did learn to love to read, and so I combine those things. As you may have seen in some of the videos, you've seen some of my art, and I express myself in art because that's a therapeutic process for me. I express myself in bright colors because bright color uplifts my spirit and gives me energy. Even though, to a great extent, I'm a very calm person, having that energy from bright colors helps me love and helps me love to learn. So, once again, love of learning correlates with other of the wisdom characteristics, other of the experience pillar characteristics of curiosity, appreciation of beauty and excellence, of critical thinking, of judgment, of real wisdom, of creativity, and a zest for life, as we talked about last week. So, a zest for life and a love of creativity and a love of learning and of curiosity are the wisdom traits. If you want to grow in your wisdom in your life, I encourage you to work on these character strengths because these character strengths will take you a long ways. In the next few Live at News, I will continue to talk about some of these character strengths related to wisdom. And as we do that, I encourage you to take a look at these character strengths in your own life and decide how you can build those up. Before I go today, I want to again thank you so much for joining me. This is Cynthia Watke, a life transformation coach and a transformative healer with Cariance. Cariance is a business created specifically to encourage women who are spread thin, overwhelmed, and stressed out by being sandwiched between generations and still having a strong need to continue on in their careers. Have a blessed day. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you who have joined me today and each one who may watch this in the future. Please feel free to reach out to me and to interact with me because I'm here for you. I want to be a support and encouragement to you and a sounding board as you need. So be blessed today and do not hesitate to reach out to me if I can be of any help to you. Again, this is Cynthia Watke of Cariance. Have a very blessed day and God bless you. Thank you.